I'm Deanna Ferrari, and my presentation today is about how health and fitness is being impacted by things like social media. So thank you guys for being here. A little bit about me. I work in public relations. I actually work at a place called Word Right Communications. It's in Wexford, and do a lot of PR and social media. I'm also on the board for PRSA Pittsburgh, Public Relations Society of America. I'm from Pittsburgh, and I'm a blogger and a blog reader, although I don't update my blog enough. I try to do it once a week, but sometimes that doesn't work. And I'm a runner. Just ran my first half marathon in May, which I'll be talking about later. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do yoga, and got into that a few years ago, and I'm really hooked on it. And I'm also a semi-healthy eater, except when I get hankering for Funyuns, you know. We all have our guilty pleasures, so I really like to eat, so I think that's why all the running doesn't really pay off as much as it should. So that's a little bit about me. Basically, my fitness history is I've done sports almost all my life. As you can see, I won the Presidential Physical Fitness Award in elementary school, so I have Bill Clinton's autograph. I played field hockey, I played tennis, softball. I tried judo at one point. I've pretty much done every sport there is just because I wanted to try it. I've pretty much done every activity. I was a Girl Scout for about 2 minutes, so, you know, like to try a lot of things. Basically, the one sport that I stuck with throughout the years was lacrosse. I played from about 6th grade up until college. I was never the best player by any means, but I always had fun, and I played lacrosse a lot. But a lot of the stuff that I did with sports always led me to running, so I kind of stuck with it because, you know, if you're doing something, you want to be active, you want to stay active. So that's kind of where that led me. So once I graduated from college, I didn't want to just stop participating in sports. Obviously, I don't play anymore, but I still run and I'm active, and that's when I got into yoga. So that's a little bit of my background in terms of fitness. So let me ask you guys a question. Who here has ever been on a diet? Okay. Who here is on a diet right now? Who here exercises? Any kind of exercise? Okay. Who here doesn't exercise? Okay, we got one. So we see right here, there's tons of stuff out there. I'm sure all of our lives we've been seeing stuff about diets, about losing weight, about gaining weight, about being skinny, about the newest fad. I'm sure we've tried everything. I've done Slim Fast. We got your Tae Bo over here. Although I actually enjoyed Tae Bo, it never worked out. You know, celebrity diets. Like, okay, a celebrity diet's called a personal trainer and a chef and Botox and whatever else they have. We got the Thigh Master down here for those of you who can't see it. Diet pills, which I don't really believe in, but, you know, they're all over the place. And, of course, we have shows like The Biggest Loser on TV where, you know, we don't realize that they're working out for like 10 hours a day, and they have Jillian Michaels right here, like, all up in there. So, you know, we have a lot of influences going on. And typically it's like been magazines, TV, that's it. So, but, you know, we still have these things today, obviously, but there's a whole new realm of influences because of social media. So what are these new influences? Is it this? Is it GTL? For those of you who don't know what this is, it's the Jersey Shore. These are not the new influences, although, you know, if you want to try the Snooki tanning thing, you can, because, you know, Obama taxed the tanning, so she's all mad about it. But the new real influences is this. It's blogs, mostly. It's people posting on Facebook, on Twitter, making YouTube videos. It's people talking about what they eat, how they run, what they do to work out, whether it's running, whether it's swimming, whatever. You know, they're talking about it online, and they're just capturing it all. I just have a few pictures here from some blogs that I read, you know. People are talking about different ways to make oatmeal. There's one food blog I read where she has like 500 recipes to make oatmeal. I really didn't know there was that many. The Green Monster, does anyone know what that is? The Green Monster movement is a website if you want to Google it. It's pretty much a spinach smoothie, but they're really good. I actually tried it out, and it's a huge trend. So it's actually pretty sweet if you mix it with a frozen banana. People taking pictures of what they're eating. People training for a 5K up until a marathon and documenting it every step of the way. People doing yoga and taking a picture of it. These are our new influences. We don't need to read Us Weekly and see how, Jennifer Aniston stays skinny. I mean, Jennifer Aniston stays skinny because she's rich and she's famous and that's her job. We don't have the means to do so. So we're looking at real people, and that's how we're getting influenced. We're seeing how they do it. It's a normal person from, down the street or across the country with the same kind of means that we have. They don't have all the tools that celebrities have. They're real people. So these are our new influences in terms of, living healthy the right way and not, taking Xenadrin and thinking that's the answer, or starving yourself or trying the cabbage soup diet, which I've never tried, but I'm kind of afraid to. It's eating real food and talking about it and how it works for them. So in terms of, besides blogs and people just talking about it, there's tools to help people, lose weight or start working out or whatever they want to do. I mean, people have different goals. They might want to lose 5 pounds. They might want to run a marathon. So depending on what you need to do, there's something out there for everyone. I just grabbed a couple of things here. This is an iPhone app. I think it is Live Strong. And they have a calorie breakdown of what you eat all day. So you can type in, I had a banana and 2 pancakes for breakfast, and they tally up your calories all day. And then, it says calories consumed, calories burned, so you enter in what you did to work out, and then it says net calories consumed. So it just tells you. So all you have to do is input your data, and boom, it's right there for you, so you can see it. Yeah?
Is that a website, a site that we can get to?
This, I think, if you go on, just Google Live Strong iPhone app for weight loss, I believe that's how you could find that. If you just Google weight loss applications or calorie counters, so many things pop up. And if you go into the iTunes library, there's tons of different applications. This is another one. This is the Nike. I think this is the new Nike Plus app. It literally maps out everything for you. Although I'm a little bit biased about Nike Plus because I've heard, if you run a certain amount, it's not as accurate in determining your miles than it could be. But that's up to you to decide. But this is just really cool. It just, you put this little chip in your shoe, hook it up with your iPod or your iPhone, and it'll tell you how far you're going. And it'll come in, like when you're listening to songs and you're running, it'll tell you, 1 mile done, such and such distance, this is your pace, and it maps out your route for you. We also have, for the less advanced runner, the Couch to 5K. Has anyone done this before? Okay, so we have a few people. This is really popular right now because literally you go from the couch to running 3.1 miles for your first 5K, and it has everything, step-by-step instructions from training plans to communities where you could go on and talk about what you're doing. They have the different training plans from like Cal Higdon to Runner's World, and there's actually a Twitter hashtag, and this is c25k.com, so you can see all of this right here. So if you've been sitting on the couch watching too much Jersey Shore, you can go and run a 5K too. You just have to map it out for you, and it's spelled out. You could write down step by step what you need to do to get there rather than just kind of trying to run. We also have the Garmin here. Does anyone have a Garmin? This is awesome. If you are running and you really want a nice tool to track your pace, your distance, your heart rate, I recommend it. It's really pricey though. For some of the more advanced version, this literally, because a Garmin, normally you have it in your car, this watch has a GPS, bless you, a GPS in the watch. So as you're running from anywhere in the world, it tracks with the satellites, and it tells you your exact distance, which is awesome.
How much is it?
Well, they range anywhere from $100 to up to $500. So, you could go on their website. Garmin also has a really nice social media kind of aspect to it, where you can go in. They have a thing where if you're within like 5 feet of your computer syncs up the data, so it all spreads it out for you. So if you're a data nerd, you can get everything spread out day by day and track your progress. So, there's different levels of it. I have the FR60, which is kind of like the Nike Plus, where I have a little foot pod on my shoe, and then I have a heart rate monitor, which has been really weird trying to run with this thing, because you like strap it around your ribs and you're running, and then I'm like, oh, is my heart beating fast enough? I don't know. So that's a little weird. But it's cool because it tells you how long your pace was. It beeps when it tells you, you burned 100 calories. It's really cool, and then it tracks it over time. And finally, we have Tweet My Time, which during the half marathon, the Pittsburgh Marathon, they had this new application, which I believe is still in beta, and during the Dick's Sporting Goods Marathon, where it tracked up with, you wear a little foot thing when you run a marathon, and it tracks how fast you're going. Well, it tracked into your Twitter and your Facebook. So as I was running, it was tweeting for me. I'm running at this pace, or my estimated time is so-and-so. So it's a pretty cool new tool. So, I'm not literally running with my phone. It's just telling my friends and family for me. So if they can't be there, they can watch me run online. So these are some of the new technologies that are out there and available.
Does it do that without your asking, or do you have to sign up to get that?
All of this?
No. When you're doing the marathon and it's collecting the data.
All you have to do is go on to Tweet My Time, and you input in your Facebook information, your Twitter information. I believe you had to give it your password, and then it did it for you. So
but you had to ask for it. A stranger couldn't track you if you didn't ask for them to?
No, it was definitely permission-based, and all it was syncing up with my shoe, which was already being tracked by the marathon people. And it was accurate, except for a little glitch that I'll tell you about in a little bit. There's also a sense of community right at your fingertips now. I pulled a couple screen grabs right now. One of them is Runner's World, which is really cool. You can follow them on Twitter, and they tweet out tips. They tweet article links. If you're having an injury or a question, you don't know what kind of food to eat when you're training, it's right there. And also food spotting is, people take pictures of their food, which is interesting now. People, especially food bloggers, they're tracking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And a lot of the times people will joke about Twitter, like nobody cares you're eating a bowl of cereal for breakfast, but there's a community of people that do. And they make it fun and interesting. I love food blogs. I think they're interesting because they have different components to them. Like, what did we do today? We went to this restaurant and I ate these really good whatevers, and you can see it, and it's fun and it's interesting. So food spotting has put people together to take pictures of their food in one place. We also have a couple more sites. Lululemon is a great company out of Vancouver and in Canada, and they are the greatest yoga and running gear ever. It's super high price, so if you got your Garmin and your Lululemon, you're probably out this month's paycheck. But they have really great gear, but they also provide great information. They've got a blog. They've got Facebook. They have individual stores with their individual Facebook and Twitter pages. They just put one in Shadyside. It's a store, or it's a showroom rather than a regular room. So they only have limited supplies, but they still have stuff, and it's great. So they have a Facebook page. Just search Lululemon Pittsburgh. They have one in Cleveland that's the full room. I just went to the one in Union Square in New York City last week, which was awesome. They do yoga in the park. They're constantly taking photos. They have a whole Flickr page with people just doing yoga, and you can seeing them. And they have different initiatives. Like this month has been Yoga Month for September, and they challenge you to do some type of yoga every day and then document it. A couple months ago, they did sweat once a day, and you put your hashtag. So find one way to sweat, whether it be, walking up the stairs or running a mile, whatever you want to do, and then you document it on Twitter, and then they share it with the community. So that's a really great company to check out. Also, we have the Pittsburgh Marathon. They've got Twitter and Facebook, and they update. This year they're doing it May 15th, which is a little bit later. They're also doing it an hour earlier because they're afraid, since it's getting later into summer, it's going to be too hot. So it's going to start at 6:30 this year, which I'm a little like, got to get up at like 3 a.m. And then we have Food Buzz, which all the food bloggers come together in this community. You can search any kind of blog you want. They have specials. They have different projects. They have top 9 blogs. Right now they're doing the next food blog star. So a lot of the food bloggers are getting together. I think the top prize is $10,000, and they do different challenges. Like this past week was introducing themselves to the community and what makes them a food blogger. So, you have these different communities here that's tailored to what you're into. If you want to learn how to cook great meals, you can maybe get on Food Buzz, but it doesn't have to be gourmet. It could be simplified, no matter what your preference is. They have it all. Could be working out. It could be running a marathon. So no matter what, there's something out there for everybody. Okay, so another thing about social media is, these great resources for you, but you can also share your accomplishments. Like I said before, not everyone cares, you ate this for breakfast. The same thing with not everyone cares you just ran 3 miles. Sometimes I like to share my accomplishments with my Twitter community, but I try to keep it to a minimum so people aren't like, okay, great, you just did 90 minutes of yoga. Great. So, I try to keep it to a minimum or share it with a community that has also been doing yoga. So I just have some screen grabs. One of my Facebook friends, I think they just did their first 5K, and he ran 2.75 miles in 29 minutes from the Daily Mile. And that actually is another service that tweets out and posts on Facebook to your friends about, your distance, and then you put how good you felt. So he felt good after that, somebody liked it. So it's a great tool to just share with people. This guy just tweeted to his friend, day 47, I've lost 10 pounds, down 2 pant sizes. Everyone says I look good. I'm happy with it. So he's just sharing, I've been losing weight. Look at me. Then we've got your Lance Armstrong over here, who just finished a 75-minute run. He's just telling his network, he felt great. He was running around. So, Lance Armstrong, if you need to follow somebody that's motivating, follow him. So another thing, instead of your accomplishments, is sharing your injuries and disappointments. I just have a couple random screenshots right here. Last week, I got shin splints from running. That's my running injury. So I was starting to train for the Spirit of Pittsburgh half marathon, which is November 7th. And this happened on the same day. The marathon was canceled, and I burned my leg, icing my shin splints. Which, if anyone wants to see a picture, I have some. It's still disgusting. There's a big hole in my leg. It's really gross. So be careful when you're icing. The bag leaked out on my leg, and it got all puffy like a blister. So yeah, be careful. So I kind of just tweeted that out, like, oh, figures. I was going to New York that day. I burned myself. And the truth of the matter is I didn't really even have shin splints that day. I was just kind of being proactive, like, oh, I'm going to get them, so may as well start icing. So be careful. And then also just, sharing, someone tweeted me it was canceled, and we're like, oh no, that sucks. And so it's just like, you can talk to your friends that share the same interests as you and share your disappointments, share your injuries. I had a lot of people talk to me about shin splints over the winter when I had them really bad, and, I just iced them and did the right stretches and got a lot of tips. So it's just a great community of people that want to help. And I also pulled some shots from the New York Times. Mainstream news is acknowledging that people are being active in social media in terms of health and fitness. We have 2 articles right here. I think there was another one about people being influenced by their Facebook friends about running marathons, but I could not find it for the life of me, so I apologize. But We have one, First Camera Then Fork, written back in April about people that take pictures of their food. Before they sit down to eat, they need to take a picture. They cited in this article that this one guy and his wife arrived at a restaurant and he forgot the appropriate lens for his camera, so he went back home to get the lens. He made his wife sit there for an hour while he went and got it. So that's a little extreme. So people are just, getting a little bit obsessive in a way, but some are just, they're there, they get their meal before, because as soon as I get a meal, I'm like eating it. But these people are taking a picture, positioning it just right, or some of them will say, well, I'll take a bite of my bagel to make it look even, more, I don't know what the right word is, but personal or something, or, I eat halfway through and then I take a picture. Which is interesting too, because sometimes you get a plate of food that's just so pretty you want to take a picture of it. Like sometimes I'll make a yogurt thing and I'm like, oh, this is pretty, I should take a picture. But then I'm like, well, who really cares? But again, it goes back to sharing with your community. We have another article here, Tall Tales Truth and My Twitter Diet. It's a mouthful, by Brian Stelter. He's a reporter at the New York Times. He does a lot of like media and like tech, social media-ish stories. And he actually wanted to lose, this was back in March. He said he wanted to lose 25 pounds in 25 weeks by the time I turned 25 on September 3rd. So 2 tweets he sent back in March. He normally has his own account, but he created, his own Twitter weight loss account because he said he wanted to hold himself accountable. So he put this account out and he tweeted everything he ate. And he said people were slowly starting to follow him and cheer him on. And, at one time he tweeted he had too much alcohol, but really he had a whole night of drinking, but he didn't want to share it. It's like, are people that are sharing their diets, are they going to share, oops, I went to McDonald's. Like, do I just leave that out? I guess it's, your own choice, but if you're going to do it, you should do it full force. And he ended up losing, I forget exactly how much weight he lost, but he definitely met his goal. I feel like he's lost about 50 pounds by now. Wow. So you guys can just Google this article. It was just out last month, so it's pretty new. His name's Brian Stelter. I don't know what the Twitter name is, but you could just search for it. So it's cool, people are holding themselves accountable, which is a lot of things that I'm hearing too. I posted the other week about, what influences you, and Russell here that's in the crowd, he's been running, and, he said, again, it's holding yourself accountable, it's being influenced by other people, it's sharing, it's that's why a lot of people say, okay, I'm going to write down what I eat and what I work out with every day, and then, people might not be that interested, but at least I can go back and I can see what mistakes I've made or what's worked and what hasn't. So, my personal marathon story isn't very exciting, it's just I did it. Half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. These are just some posts from my own blog about, training for the half marathon. I just posted some songs that I was running to because I feel like music is really helpful for me to run. Some people can't run with music, some people need it. I normally have my iPod all the time, except a couple weeks ago I went out to run and it was dead, so I had to run 5 miles without any music, and I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. But I ended up doing it okay, and I didn't even notice by the end, which was interesting.
Just out of curiosity, what are your favorite songs to run to?
Well, I have a lot. You can actually visit this post from my blog, but I like Lady Gaga and Britney. Those are 2 great ones. I like a mix of things. Sometimes they're mostly like upbeat, really like fast music, but sometimes you get a slow song and you're just kind of like running along the beat with it. I notice if the song flips, my pace goes with the music sometimes, which is pretty cool. If you're going to a slow beat, but it's, steady, you're going. But then if you hear, like a hip hop song, you're like, oh, I'm going to run even faster. So you can visit all my songs to run to.
Okay.
DeannaFerrari.com.
You program the song to the point when you run, so that like halfway through the run you want some something to pick you up,
Yeah, you could really tailor your songs. Like if you're running a 5K and you know it's going to take you 35 minutes, you can make a playlist built. So like the first song is peppy, then it slows down a little bit, but then by 2.5, you have something really upbeat.
Well, if you know there's a big hill coming up.
Exactly. You could tailor it that way. I mean, I'm not that good to know exactly how fast I'll be or how slow I'll be, but that's another thing too. While I was running the half marathon, I needed to have a different song on, so I'm like messing with my iPod during it. So having a playlist I think is really important, but some people, like I said, don't like music, so it just depends. This is also just, I posted 5 ways I'm training. I talked about my shin splints, icing, making sure to stretch. I did a lot of yoga during it to kind of stretch out, get all loose and limber. One of the things I said was telling everyone, telling your friends, telling your Facebook friends, so people are kind of supporting you, and again, it's that being held accountable type thing. So, I had some friends that ran the half marathon in 08 or 09, and I was just like, you know what, that sounds cool, and I've been running, so why don't I just run it? So I was like, okay, how do I train for this? And a half marathon is a lot easier than a full. A full is like a very huge commitment. I figured a half would be okay. A lot of people start off slow too. I've never done a race before, so I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should do a couple 5Ks, a 10K, but I just jumped right into it. My training plan was on Runner's World. They have different levels of training. Again, that Hal Higdon, he has a bunch too, but his are longer. I train with, I think it's 9 weeks, and his are 11 or something like that. So it's just your preference too, and I kind of just laid out. It was basically run Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays. You're off Mondays, and Wednesdays I'd go to yoga, and Fridays I'd be off too. And then maybe on some of the off days, do a little bit of cross training or stretching or something else. But a lot of the days I just wanted to sleep or not run. By the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm sick of running. But it was worth it in the end. So these are some screen grabs from Facebook, which I mentioned before. We did Tweet My Time. And it was telling my Facebook friends I was running a full marathon. Which, hey, you want to think I ran that. But that was the glitch I found. On Twitter, it was accurate. It was the half. But on Facebook, for some reason, it said I ran a full. So you can see, this was at 10:02 a.m. The race started at 7:30. It said 7.2 miles in. I have a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, 28 seconds at a 10-minute, 28-second pace toward an estimated finish of 4 hours, 34 minutes, and 25 seconds around 12:11 p.m. So that's how dead on it was. It was anticipating me finishing around 4.5 hours at 12:11 p.m. So if somebody was going to meet me, they could see exactly what time I was done. Of course, I did not finish at noon. I finished right around 11, or I don't know what time I finished. And then you can see it says, I just started the Dick's Sporting Goods Pittsburgh Marathon. So it told my friends when. Here's a comment from Russell. He said, I wonder how many people think you're texting and running, which is funny. Somebody actually sent me a private message afterwards. They were like, how did you focus and do that?
Yeah, right.
I could not do that. It was on my phone. I didn't even have my phone with me. So, people were like, yeah, go, good job. And then I said, apparently Facebook thinks I ran a full. My time was actually 2 hours, 22 minutes, not 2 hours, 27 minutes. I didn't realize that the chip goes on when you pass the finish line, so to go once everyone was ahead of me. So anyway, I was a newbie. So yeah, I just said, thanks for all the well wishes. Everyone, wished me congratulations, and it was just reinforcing. It was like, here's my accomplishment. I'm not bragging. I'm just, you want to share these types of things. Just some more congrats and, good job today, blah, blah, blah. So then I wrote a recap post, 13.1 things I learned from running my first half marathon. If you read my blog, I like to count and I like to list things out. So, I just like numbers because it's easier to think of things. So anyway, I just wrote some things that I learned, I didn't know anything about the chip in your shoe and tracking it. I learned that a playlist is important. I learned that having your family there or your friends is important too, because I'm with my parents here. It's kind of dorky. They were at mile like 7-ish or something, and they were by the baseball stadium. And I was like, okay, maybe I won't see them. So I'm like looking for them for a while, but it's hard because we didn't have a set place. But then I spotted them, so you're like, okay, you're motivated. You see the people around you, and it's just so much fun. At some points, I shut off my iPod because there was bands every mile, there's people cheering, and it's just like a really good energy. And it was raining that day. I don't know if any of you were there, but it was raining, but I actually felt like it was okay. I had a hat on, so it wasn't getting in my eyes. It was hot and humid that morning, so it cooled things off. A lot of people were discouraged by the rain and got mad, or slowed down, but I was fine in that regard. Just having the proper plan in place, I felt, and telling people about it were two great things that I learned. And obviously I want to run more since I was planning on running Spirit of Pittsburgh, but it's canceled. So I'm already registered for the next upcoming half marathon in May.
Yeah. About how you said how it's important to have people there. When I hit mile right around 7 or 8 or something, I was struggling. That's when it started to rain really hard. I was really wet, and suddenly I needed goo. I was tired, and I knew there was a tweet up at the water stop at mile 8, and you have no idea how much I needed it. Like, I knew that social media was going to be there to get me through the rest of the race.
So what's a tweet up?
Well, do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, you're the presenter.
Well, it's basically where a bunch of people on Twitter want to meet in real life in one spot. So they decided, okay, we're all going to be there. Some people are running the relay, some are running the half, the full. Let's meet at a marker point so we could all get together and just say hi and reinforce each other and drink some Gatorade.
Yeah, I got like a whole row of doubled high fives, and people
cool.
cheer me on. It
Yeah.
was, like running around the corner and spying them, and then suddenly seeing them see me, and wow! Like high fives flying, and I was like, I can do this. It was just what I needed.
Yeah. So, exactly. If you have a plan, say, hey, meet me at mile 10. Be there. Wear a bright yellow shirt, scream my name, whatever you need to do. It's like, you don't have that social media influence at that time. You're not tweeting or anything. So it's having those real life connections, whether it be Twitter friends or family or whoever, is really important. And there's my medal. So I just have a couple blogs that I pulled to show for you guys. This is Eat, Live, Run is one of my favorites. The blogger's name is Jenna. She lives in Northern California. She has like the best life ever. All she does is blog for a living and drink wine and awesome food. She lives in Florida, but she moved out to California because there was this thing, I don't know if any of you heard of it, called A Really Good Job from Murphy Good. And it was a competition to be their social media person in 2009. She was one of like the top 10 finalists. That's how I found her, because somebody I knew was in the competition, and I just found her blog that way. She didn't end up winning, but she worked for another winery out there, decided to move there on a whim, and now she just writes about like awesome food that she eats out there and all kinds of stuff. And this is Caitlin from Healthy Tipping Point. She actually went to Pitt. Caitlin just put a book out called Operation Beautiful, where girls and women and men and whoever post Post-it notes in places like a public bathroom or a locker room at the gym, and they put stuff like "You are beautiful," and they just, you find this random note that says "You are beautiful," people get inspired by it. So she started that. It's operationbeautiful.com, but her day-to-day blog is healthytippingpoint.com, and she's really great because she runs races, she does triathlons, she's a vegetarian, but she doesn't make cooking too complicated, and she's always posting about like pretty relevant tips if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So those are two of my favorites, and then two more is Jessica from Pittsburgh too. She runs How Sweet It Is. Her blog is awesome. She makes like these decadent recipes all the time, and she's really like fit. So I don't know how she bakes all this goodies and doesn't eat it all, because I would. So that's her. And then skinnyrunner.com. She's probably my favorite. She lives in California too. She's just hilarious. She's awesome. She runs crazy amounts of miles. She qualified for Boston the first time. She's just crazy and she's funny. She's the one who introduced me to Garmin, so that's skinnyrunner.com. So those are just some of my personal favorites. There's tons and tons. If you go on these people's blog lists, they have lots of their blog rolls. They have lots of different blogs you can follow. And this was my video, and I'm sorry I can't play it for you guys today, but the internet's not working. I could, no. Yeah, well, whenever you go home, Google, what's it called? It's a guy that lost 120 pounds, and it's set to Coldplay, Fix You, and it's like, it's kind of sad, but it's really happy at the end, because he lost 120 pounds. He ran a marathon. It's my journey to 120 pounds. It's been viewed of quite a amount of times now, only in like 5 days, so check that out when you do, because, you know, he was really overweight, lost 120 pounds, and learned a lot over the course of the video, so it's a tearjerker. So I was going to make you all cry today, but I can't anymore. So, okay, now it's not working. Oh, okay, well that's it. So what questions can I answer that I haven't already? Yeah?
Well, I just wanted to add, I did what you basically just talked about. I saw friends tweeting about and Facebooking about running, and I said, I've never wanted to run in my life, but good God, everyone can do it, so I'm going to do it. And I did it, and I did Couch to 5K, and I used the Twitter hashtag. I used, I follow active.com too, I think.
Yeah.
And then two of my friends who were the main motivators, they actually started a site called I Run Like a Mother. And they're two moms from Pittsburgh, and it's a really awesome site with forums. You can ask questions about what to wear, where to get clothes, what to eat, what routines do you use, music, all that stuff. So it was really motivating to have that network of people who were also doing it or have done it. It's amazing. I never would have run.
Yeah, it's funny too. And then you think, like, I thought at the marathon I was going to see all these like really fit people. No, there was a lot of them. They were way up front.
Right.
So, you know, like normal sized people run. It's like you don't have to be like the skinniest person, the most in shape. Obviously, you're going to be in shape if you're running. But you know, anyone can do it. Anyone can run. It could take a year, but you could do it. So that's pretty much what I've learned as well. So.
What have you seen? Do you feel Pittsburgh is behind the times as far as fitness and health goes compared to other cities, or are we amongst the more fit cities that are out there based on your experiences?
I would say Pittsburgh is more of a health-conscious city. I think there's a lot of people, you know, you go downtown on the weekend, you see people running, biking. I think biking's been huge. I don't know what we're ranked in terms of, you know, obesity or anything like that, but there's tons of trails and access, and I think the only thing holding us back is our weather, you know? So
there was just a survey came out by the Sporting Goods Manufacturing Association that rated us 49 out of 50 of fit cities.
Oh, really?
As last. We're area we have the highest rate of diabetes. So it's actually a pretty, in a lot of surveys, it typically is one of the most unfit cities in the U.S.
Also has an older population.
Yeah.
that's that's a good point.
This is just my opinion, but I think that our opinions are skewed because we.
That's true too.
I think that social media in Pittsburgh likes fitness and likes outdoors and likes hiking and likes boating, likes to do those things that are social. You know,
Sure.
Fitness is social to a lot of us.
And it's a younger population that's doing it too, so younger population is more healthy. They're more on social media, so it's, you know, I agree. It's definitely.
I think we're trending to a healthier city.
As the younger population gets older, they're going to take those habits, those healthy habits, and continue them. So.
Exactly, and I think that social media is helping to spread that. Like you said, you never would have done it.
Right.
You never would have run, but you know, you see people can do it.
Yeah, I probably am biased because I
Yeah.
see, I have this
Right.
core group of people that I talk to, and it's like, oh, okay. So, anyone else? Yeah.
I have a yoga blog, and I was just curious if you know of any really great yoga communities. Like you mentioned, a lot of really cool running ones. Are you familiar with any yoga communities or?
The only community that I really follow is that Lululemon, and I'd assume that if you go on their Pittsburgh Facebook page, you could see some people talking about yoga. Another thing you could do too is search Pittsburgh and yoga hashtags through Twitter and find people that way. I know people that do it around here, but I don't see any kind of huge community in terms of what I've seen personally. So I would just recommend just doing some Twitter searches and checking out Lululemon. Okay.
Based on like the different social networks and tools that are out there, what is like maybe the more popular thing or one thing that really gets people excited and engaged and wanting to work out and to get that motivation? Is there something out there that you really like?
I think it just depends on what's available to them. Like, I personally don't have an iPhone, so I don't have all those great apps. But, I mean, there's BlackBerry apps, there's Droid apps, so I think it's just what is available to you. I know that Daily Mile I've seen a lot of, but I don't do it. I try not to do I haven't done any of, like, inputting all my data into one place, and I probably should, because then I'll see, like, oh, well, you had a lull here, you should probably step it up, or, you know. But I think it's just what's available to you and to your network. I don't think there's any one thing, because there's so many great things, as I showed you guys. So whatever works for you. And I think, too, one important thing, too, is your real-life network matters, too, because, you know, the people around you are essentially what influences you. My dad tells me that because of my running, he lost a ton of weight over the past few months because he was influenced, because I was getting up early and I was making my runs and I was sticking to my schedule. Although I didn't lose any weight running, and he did, and he didn't run, so I don't know how that works out. But I think it's important just to get your friends or your wife or husband or girlfriend or whoever behind you, and, you know, make the same kind of choices too, because, you know, if you're trying to lose weight, for instance, and your husband only wants to eat cheeseburgers and fries, you're not going to lose any weight. So it's kind of like a balance between a social media community and a real life community.
I do have actually one for you. It's called movescount.com. It's Sun2 is the manufacturer. They manufacture GPS. They have foot paws and everything. It's actually, and they have a community. It's sort of like a Facebook community where it's actually really good. So it's really motivating because you're with like-minded people.
Right.
So it's actually very
What's
good.
count?
Moves count. Moves, M-O-V-E-S,
Moves.
count.
Yeah, and that Garmin too, they have a great community though, but again, you need to buy the product. So that's a lot of the force behind a lot of these things too.
A lot of the apps you mentioned, I don't have an iPhone either. I have a BlackBerry, and if I have too many apps on it, it shuts down. So I have to stick to the web. But like Livestrong, I'm a Livestrong community member, but web-based. Daily Mile, web-based member. You know, and a lot of people that I follow on Twitter are also my Daily Mile friends. You know, in the Livestrong I use with my family, my extended family, that I've developed a healthy family challenge that we all have to exercise and eat well. So even if you don't have all the technology, you can still track.
Exactly.
And
You could do it, you
get
put
the
it in
sport.
an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
A lot of the places you can export it to an Excel sheet. I think I would kill myself if I had to do that. But hey, it's however works for you. You have a question?
Next year, are you going to do the half or the full?
The half. But I might try to go for the full one day. I don't know when though.
What's your goal with your blog? Is it to monetize your blog, or to share your goals, or build community, or where are you taking it? Do you have a plan for it, or?
My blog's a little bit random. That's a lot of the time when people are talking about blogging, like you have to have one focus. I talk about running and eating and social media because I do it a ton for work. So I'll talk about like social media trends, and I found I get more comments with the social media stuff, but I haven't tried too much with the running. And I might actually make a section about like maybe race reviews or upcoming races or something like that. Because I feel like it should be a mix of who I am, because it's my personal blog. It's not for anything in particular, and I like all that stuff combined. So I definitely want to do more with running. But right now it's just to talk about what I'm thinking about and passionate about and want to talk about. So that's pretty much what it is for now.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Whenever you look towards like other fitness gurus or experts, what for you personally builds your idea of trust or credibility with them? Is it their certifications? Is it their personal experience?
I think it just showing proof that they have done something. That Caitlin that I mentioned from Healthy Tipping Point, she's a normal woman living in, she lives in Charlotte right now. Like, and I can relate to her because she's my age, and she had kind of the same story as me, like in college, like, you know, drink too much, ate too much, weren't very healthy. Regardless, I played lacrosse, but then we'd go and drink, so whatever. But then she kind of moved towards a more healthy lifestyle, but she still likes, you know, to indulge and drink beer and whatever. So I like people that are normal and I can relate to. I kind of tend to stay away from experts, only if it's like for something like, okay, well, even that, because I was going to say, like, you know, what gear to wear, whatever. I like personal people that I can relate to, or that skinny runner. She knows about what kind of clothes work or what kind of products work and tips and everything. And if she doesn't know the answer, she links to something like an MSNBC article or something, or link you back to Runner's World. So I kind of like talking to people that I can relate to, you know, Twitter friends or blog followers. And like, you know, I'm talking about this today. I'm not an expert on this. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a personal trainer, obviously. Like, you know, I think it's just relating and just finding people that have done it, have ran a marathon, so I could be like, okay, well, what worked for you? And then, you know, tailoring it to yourself, because nobody has the same likes or needs when it comes to health and fitness. So, okay, anybody else? Well, thanks for all the questions and everybody. I'm coming today.